There are lots of possible impacts of change. So we've just looked at a few there. It can be changing packaging, it can be moving out of a market entirely, implementing new training for employees. It all depends on the certain business scenario that you're looking at. But we do have a bunch of examples here for different sort of levels. We've got the internal and the external. Management and employees are on the inside, and externally, we've got customers and suppliers. And there are other categories that you can look at here as well. So, in the management section, a possible impact of change is perhaps needing a new management style entirely. So, if the management style is not effective, then maybe they need to be more participative with employees, involving them in decision making, for example. We'll have a look at the different management styles shortly and the sort of ins and outs of each of those. You may also need to train management for a new system. You may need to appoint new management. Perhaps the existing management is not effective, and it's not just about changing the style, but changing the people and their way of operating entirely. You may change the hierarchy structure, so the organizational structure that we saw in the diagram in the internal section. You could also have a merging or an amalgamation of different departments. So, new departments could also be made, or departments could be joined together to perhaps save resources, for example. In terms of employees, you may have new roles and new sort of descriptions for jobs. You may need greater skills and more training, and you may have a restructuring of the different roles in the organization. In terms of customers, you may need to cater to different customers to make sure that they're aware of changes that you've made by introducing advertising and marketing campaigns. You may need to target new customers, perhaps if a business is shifting its focus, if it wants to perhaps be more sustainable. Maybe it wants to target new customers that value that sustainability. If you could have the business needing to reestablish existing customers, so maybe it has needed to change because of struggling for some reason. Maybe there's been some controversy. Maybe the business has done the wrong thing. And it needs to get customers back on side. So incentives and rewards, and again those marketing campaigns to get the word out about how it's changing would be necessary there. Investigating new competitors and their customers could be necessary as well. So if the business is moving into a whole new sort of sector, maybe it's offering a new product, taking advantage of new technologies and things like that, it perhaps is going to have new competitors in those new spaces, and it will need to make sure it's monitoring those, just like any business needs to monitor its competitors. And in terms of suppliers, it may need to renegotiate existing contracts with suppliers to match whatever the change is. You may need to source new suppliers from local, national, or international areas. If you're expanding overseas, then that would perhaps mean that international suppliers would be necessary to save on costs. If you continue to source from one country, even though you've moved into another, then you're going to have to fort the cost of getting all of your products over to that other country. And then outsourcing as well in terms of production, and that's going to result in changes to the supply chain too.